All right. I love what I'm seeing in the chat. I love that you guys are taking action to protect your attention. To everyone who has done at least one thing to protect your attention, I want to tell you, great job. And I know it seems silly, but in these 3 minutes, you have dramatically increased your chances of getting results from this session. And I'm not going to take a little bit of time at the beginning of the session on Wednesday and on Friday. Learn the lesson, write yourself a note, do this before hopping on, and hop on, right on time, because we will get straight in. So now let's talk about ChatGPT and why people are so excited. Well, let's see firsthand what it can do. So I'm going to open up put yes into the chat if you've actually played with ChatGPT a little bit. Okay, we've got a bunch of people who have. Put no into the chat if you haven't yet. All right, so a lot of people haven't either. That's fantastic, totally fine. So I'm opening up this, what you're looking at on my screen right now. Give me a thumbs up, those of you who are on camera. If you can see my screen, you should see ChatGPT Plus. Yes, excellent. So this is, if you create an account, you log in. ChatGPT Plus is the paid version. It costs all of $20 a month. It looks and works pretty much the same. It just won't say plus next to it. And depending on when you're trying to get in, you might have trouble getting in. Let's do a real live demo. So I want to know, what is your area of expertise? Type into the chat. What is your area of expertise? What is the space in which you operate? So art, wellness, self-care. Wow, this is moving fast, kind of hard to read. Okay, I think I saw someone say, wait, I literally can't read this. Okay, stop, guys, stop. This is like, I can't read this. There are too many people here. Okay, Rochelle wrote kitchen design. That's pretty specific and niche. Let's jump in. Let's have a conversation with ChatGPT. I am a kitchen designer. What are 8 topics for courses that someone like me could sell? ? Let's see what ChatGPT says. Notice the speed of how quickly it is working. So 1, kitchen design fundamentals. 2, color theory for kitchens. Lighting design for kitchen, sustainable kitchen design. Kitchen renovation. I should have asked for less than 8. This is taking a while. Designing for small kitchens. Universal design for kitchens, and option number 8 is kitchen style and trends. All right, I like the designing for small kitchens. I like the designing for small kitchens option. Let's go with that. What are 12 different titles that I could give to that course? And I don't like typos, so let's fix that. Great choice. Thank you, ChatGPT. Notice how it encourages me. That's a nice touch. So here are 12 different titles. Small Kitchen Design 101, The Art of Designing Small Kitchens. Small Kitchen Solutions, Designing a Dream Kitchen in a Small Space. Big Ideas for Small Kitchens, Big Impact, etc. Okay, these are some good ideas. I think I like, let's see, which one do I like? The Art of Designing Small Kitchens. Designing a dream kitchen in a small space. I like that one. I like designing a dream kitchen in a small space. Outline for me a 4-week course curriculum for 4-week curriculum for this course. Notice how quickly it is putting this together, right? And how coherent it feels. Week 1, planning and layout, introduction to small kitchen design, assessing the space, space planning, designing for storage, and they even include homework. Nice touch again. Week 2, materials and finishes. Week 3, appliances and fixtures. Selecting appliances, choosing the right sink and faucet for a small kitchen, incorporating small appliances in limited space. Week 4, finalizing your design, getting the most out of your limited space, etc., etc. Okay, great. Can you write me a script for the first lesson? Hello and welcome to the Designing a Dream Kitchen in a Small Space course. In this first lesson, we're going to explore the basics of small kitchen design and discuss how to plan and lay out your small kitchen to maximize space and style. As you begin to think about your small kitchen design, it's important to first assess your space and determine your needs. Consider the following questions. How do you use your kitchen? How many people typically use the kitchen at once? What appliances do you need? And so on and so forth. Now, it just goes on and goes on. And, lest you think this is obviously staged, it can't be. I, for one, know nothing about small kitchen design, although I am pretty good in a small kitchen, I will say that, but certainly not good enough to write a course or a script like this. All right, so we've got our homework for this week's lesson, etc. Next week. Okay, so I will say, great. Can you elaborate on the homework assignment? To go with the lesson. Let's get a little more detail on this homework. So we've got an elaboration of the homework. While it's typing that out, I'm going to get started on the next prompt. Okay, we can come back to outlining the rest of the course later, but I also have to sell it. Can you write a short sales page for the course? I'll just wait for it to finish answering the previous question. We've got our nice elaborate homework that could easily be turned into a handout or a worksheet. Remember, this is just a rough sketch to get you started. In the next lesson, we'll discuss materials. Okay, great. So let's have an outline of let's have a short sales page for the course. So it starts with, are you tired of struggling with a cramped and cluttered kitchen? Do you dream of a beautiful, functional, and efficient space to prepare meals and entertain guests? If so, our Designing a Dream Kitchen in a Small Space course is the perfect solution for you. In this 4-week course, you will learn. By the end of the course, you'll have created a 3D rendering of your dream kitchen in a small space. Whether you're a homeowner, interior designer, or kitchen professional, okay, it goes on and on and on. Lovely. Great. I'd like to beef this up with 10 fascination bullets of specific things that they'll get from the course. These bullets should ideally spark curiosity. Let's see what we get here. 1, discover the latest techniques and tools for designing small kitchens that are both functional and stylish. Learn how to create a cohesive and efficient design scheme. Find out how to select materials and finishes that will make your small kitchen look and feel large. Explore the role of color. Get insider tips and tricks. Learn how to choose the right appliances. Okay, great. Okay, I will also need a good headline for the sales page. Can you propose 10 different options? So we've got discover the secrets of small kitchen design, small space, big style, from cramped to chic. It's a nice touch for certain markets. Elevate your kitchen design skills, create a space you'll love, master the art of small kitchen design, enroll in our comprehensive course today. Okay, some of these are better than others, but there's definitely stuff to work with here. Let's continue. Great. I also want to have a sales video at the top of the page. Can you write me a script for that sales video? So it's even dictating the shots here. Opening shot of a small cluttered kitchen. Narrator, are you tired of struggling with a cramped and cluttered kitchen? Do you dream of a beautiful, functional, and efficient space to prepare meals and entertain guests? Cut to a shot of a spacious and stylish small kitchen. Narrator, well, anyway, you get the idea. It keeps on going. I lost it. We'll cover everything from planning and layout to selecting materials and finishes and choosing appliances and fixtures. You'll have the opportunity to interact with other students, sharing ideas, feedback, and inspiration. Closing shot of a beautiful small kitchen. Don't miss this opportunity to elevate your kitchen design skills and create a space that's a joy to use and share with others. All right, wonderful. We are making good progress. We're most of the way there. Great. I'd also like a series of 5 emails that I can send to potential prospects telling them about the course and inviting them to sign up. Can you outline that sequence for me? So here's our email sequence. Email 1, introduction and overview. It's actually writing out the emails here. Okay, so this is going to take a bit of time. So I'm going to pause here for a moment while it finishes to write. And, I could go on and on, but you get the idea. I don't know if anyone started a stopwatch. I forgot to do that, but just about 10 minutes. Look how much it got done. Bobby is asking, can it suggest a price? Sure. So I think you get the idea. This is the part where, from the standpoint of look how cool this technology is, you just want to say, where's my beautiful slide? Boom. You drop the mic, right? Put OMG into the chat if that's just what you're thinking. It's like, OMG, oh my God. What does this do to our space? I'm seeing a lot of OMG. And I'm not surprised. That was my reaction the first time I saw this as well. Someone said, you're asking very politely, is that a good idea? I'll tell you what, regardless of who I'm interacting with, I think my habits of being kind and polite are always appropriate. I always say thank you to Alexa too. So this is the part where if you are watching this for the first time, if you've never seen a demo of this technology before, you probably have a feeling going through your whole body that shit just got real, pardon my language. This changes everything. Put the word change into the chat if you're like, this is going to change everything. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. The chat is going crazy, as you guys can see. Yes, this totally changes everything. But beyond that initial feeling, let's dig into it. Let's dig into what exactly is going to change and how. And the answer is different than you probably might think right now. And it's different from what a lot of the hype out there is suggesting. To understand where this incredible technology is going to take us, we have to start by understanding its limitations. And to understand its limitations, we have to start by reminding ourselves of what it actually is. A generative pre-trained transformer. It's a statistical prediction model based on the data that it was trained on. In other words, when you ask it a question, it's just giving you whatever is the most likely next word, and then the most likely next word, and then the most likely next word till it gets to the end of the answer, according to the data that it was trained on. And this creates two big issues. First, the garbage in, garbage out problem. These technologies aren't trained on the best information on your topic. They're trained on all the information available on the internet. And again, for ChatGPT 3.5, it's the internet up to 2021. Newer versions will be more current. But the training data isn't curated. It's all the internet. And there is a lot of garbage on the internet. Let me ask you right now, put the word garbage into the chat if there is garbage advice relating to your field on the internet. Not to say there isn't good advice too, but is there garbage advice relating to your field on the internet? Put the word garbage into the chat. I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, yes, there's a ton of garbage, plenty of garbage. Well, that garbage is part of what GPT is trained on. And that's the first issue, garbage in, garbage out. The second issue is that we're not talking about any kind of sentience or discernment. It doesn't understand your questions or the answers that it gives you, which means that it will be wrong a decent portion of the time, but it will be confidently wrong. It will have no awareness of the fact that it's doing the high-tech equivalent of bullshitting on a test because it has no awareness of anything at all. So that's the second issue. Even though it's garbage in, garbage out, it won't have any awareness of whether it is right or wrong. And understanding these limitations points us towards the right way and the wrong way to use the technology when it comes to online courses and online business. So let's explore each of these. We're going to start with the right way to use AI in your business, which is essentially to treat it as an infinitely hardworking and reasonably competent assistant, right? Think about these words, infinitely hardworking and reasonably competent. So if you were to hire someone fresh out of school who is infinitely hardworking and reasonably competent, but doesn't really know much about your field, what might you ask them to do? You might ask them to research. You might ask them to draft. You might ask them to summarize. You might ask them to synthesize. You might ask them to do stuff like this in areas where you have the expertise to look at what they produced and know what they got right and know what they didn't. But you would not ask such an assistant to discern, to decide, to finalize, to represent, or to advise, because they don't know enough about your subject area to make those judgments. In other words, these technologies, they don't empower you to do something different than you could before, but they do empower you to do more of it and to do it faster. And doing that is a competitive advantage right now because you can accelerate your output. You can produce a whole lot more, but pretty soon it won't be. Remember how fast this technology is being adopted around the world. Well, you can't bury your head in the sand and just pretend it isn't happening. It is happening whether we like it or not. There's a truism in business that if the rate of change outside your business is faster than the rate of change inside your business, then you're out of business. I'll say that again. If the rate of change outside your business is faster than the rate of change inside your business, then you are out of business. And I know this can be a very scary proposition, especially when you're still working on building things up. It's like you've got your hands full just getting a handle on things now. Who has the energy or attention for a whole new set of variables to be added to the mix? It can feel totally overwhelming. Put the word overwhelming if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. It's like, oh my God, like this basically just ran a freight train through all of my plans. What am I going to do with this? Put overwhelming into the chat, or overwhelmed if that is how you're feeling right now. All right, I sympathize and I relate. But here's the thing. First of all, let's take a deep breath. Whenever we're feeling overwhelmed, the best first step is just take a breath and slow down for a moment. I am willing to bet that each and every one of you have gone through periods of change and innovation before, professionally and personally. So I want to invite you to reflect for yourself, if you want to keep it private, or to share in the chat if you're willing, on times in the past when you've had to learn and adapt and you succeeded precisely because you did. I'm going to give you a few minutes. You can journal for yourself, you can put it into the chat, but please do take the time to do this, because we've got to come from that generative place of, yes, we actually can do this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to think, reflect, and if you're so inclined, to share. All right. I want to thank everyone for sharing, for reflecting, for exploring, because it's really important to ground ourselves in the space of, you know what? Yeah, I can do it. Yes, if the rate of change outside your business is faster than the rate of change inside your business, then you're out of business. But guess what? You control the rate of change inside your business. So you can handle it. And this is really important because fundamentally, it's just a fact of business and of life. Right? So it's important that you adopt these technologies and adapt to them and use them in the right way. And we'll talk a lot more about how to do that. There are questions about how do I get ChatGPT to do this or that. We're going to talk a lot about that over the course of the rest of this boot camp. But before we go any further, we should also talk about the wrong way to use AI, which is to ask questions that you aren't able to assess the quality of the answers. Because here's the thing. We just saw a great demonstration of ChatGPT creating a course about small kitchens. And it looked very impressive. But in point of fact, out of the 600 people on this call, there are probably like a handful who actually are in a position to assess whether it was any good. Right? We do not know. We just know that from our perspective as lay people who don't know much about this space, yeah, I guess that sounds right. Right? And that is not how you want to evaluate whether something is done properly. So the wrong way to use AI in your business is to ask questions that you aren't able to assess the quality of the answers. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But first, I want to go back to the limitations of the tech. We already covered two limitations that it has. One, garbage in, garbage out. And two, it doesn't understand or discern anything. But there's another limitation that isn't so much about the technology as it is about the opportunity around the technology. And it's a limitation that marketers with fever dreams of robot armies building their business empires completely forget about. Put into the chat what you think it is that those marketers might be forgetting. Just take a quick guess, put it into the chat. Let me know what you think it might be. What are these marketers forgetting? I'm saying the human element. I'm seeing creativity. I'm seeing personality. I'm seeing authenticity. Okay, yeah, that's all true, but there's something even more fundamental that they are forgetting. And I'll tell you what it is. What those marketers drooling over visions of dollar signs are forgetting is everybody else. It's not like this is an exclusive opportunity only available to a few people. This technology is freely available to everyone, which means that whatever you can do with it, so can everybody else. Yes, I could put together a course on small kitchens in 10 minutes and I could get it published. So can all of you. We can collectively flood the internet with courses that are quite mediocre on how to build and run small kitchens. And that means that if you decide to use the technology to create decent to good but totally generic content, you won't be alone. And that's actually going to be the biggest impact on our industry, at least in the short term, because it creates a tragedy of the commons. We would all be better off if everyone used the technology the right way, which is to support them in doing things that they're already capable and qualified to do. But you know that some people are going to they're going to take the route of less integrity. Let me illustrate what I mean with this hypothetical pitch from the world's most recognized stock photo of a sleazy internet marketer. Here we go. And this is hypothetical. Please, nobody put into the chat, where can I buy this? This is not real. So I am playing the role of sleazy internet marketer. Hey, how do you make money? You do it by giving eager buyers what they want. Where are their eager buyers? On Amazon. They're browsing there with their credit cards. What are they searching for? They're searching for everything, including information about really obscure topics that they aren't finding good resources about. But you can help them out. Just search the categories on Amazon and find the niches that don't seem to have good books for people to buy. This is where ChatGPT comes in. You don't have to know anything about the topic because ChatGPT does. You can have it draft an entire short book on the topic in less than an hour. How will you know it's good information? You don't, but the reader doesn't either. And really, you're helping them out because right now they aren't finding anything at all. So this will be so much better, won't it? Really, you're doing them a huge service, saving them from endless searching. How much can you make in this way? Well, you could easily write 3 or 4 books a day, just working half days. That's important to mention in the get-rich-quick scheme. Do that Monday through Thursday and publish them all on Friday. That's 12 to 16 books each week. Maybe you just make 10 or 20 or $50 per book per month, but it adds up. What does it add up to? Well, do the math. In just the first 4 weeks, you'll have created between $480 and $3,200 in completely passive income. How many months will it take for you to reach your goals? So there's our purely hypothetical example, which is so wrong on so many levels. But it's also scary because we all know that there are people just like this caricature operating in every industry. Put the word scary into the chat if you're like, oh my God, yes, this is totally going to happen. And it's just a matter of time. Yeah, it is scary to me too. And just for sake of all cards on the table, I've been telling my team for a week and a half that this is what's going to happen. And about 5 days after I started saying it, I got my first pitch from an internet marketer along these lines. Now, the upshot of this hypothetical pitch that is so wrong on so many levels is that over the next year, every information product category is going to be flooded with fairly mediocre AI-generated content. It is the spamification of information. And that applies to articles, to ebooks, and yes, also to many online courses. And it means that the value and price of information-only courses is about to go down pretty much to zero. And it won't be because of all the great things that you can legitimately do with AI. It will just be because of one thing, which is that, to quote Gary Vaynerchuk, marketers ruin everything. And they will do it because for the few people who get a jump on everyone else, and before all of the algorithms catch up and the loopholes all close, they will make a few bucks. But that won't be most people. And the flood of garbage that they create is going to change the market for the rest of us. But there is good news, and there is long-term opportunity. And to find it, we're going to shift for a moment our focus away from shiny new technologies to the things that will never change. And this is actually a really important strategy lesson from Jeff Bezos and Amazon. There's this great interview of him where someone asks him what he thinks is going to change or what he thinks of some new technology or opportunity. And the answer is that, Bezos says, I don't spend much of my time thinking about what is going to change. I spend most of my time thinking about what is going to stay the same. And he goes on, he explains, 10 years from now, there's no scenario where someone comes to me and says, Jeff, I love Amazon. I wish the prices were higher. That is never going to happen. People are always going to want lower prices. No one's ever going to come to me and say, Jeff, I love Amazon. I wish it took longer for things to get to my house. People will always want faster delivery. And likewise, people will always want more selection. And the huge success of Amazon is based not on what is going to change, it's based on what is always going to stay the same. So what is always going to be true that is relevant for our industry of online courses? Well, it's going to always be true that people are going to want shortcuts to achieving whatever outcome they care about. Not in a bad way, just in the legitimate way that if you know exactly how to get something done, you'll be able to make it happen in less time, at less cost, and with less risk of failure. That is something that will always be true. And delivering that sort of shortcut requires two things. First, legitimate expertise. So let's talk about what I mean by legitimate expertise. Being an expert doesn't just mean that you know a bunch about a topic. It also means that you have, yes, knowledge, but also discernment and insight. There's an old saying among internet marketers that if you read 5 books about a topic, you know more than anyone but a real expert, and that makes you a de facto expert. And a lot of real experts, the sort that have spent years and decades developing knowledge and judgment and discernment and insight into their area of expertise, tend to find that offensive. Put the word offensive into the chat if you're like, yeah, this is totally offensive, in addition to being just total bullshit, total baloney. And my chat is not scrolling, but yes, I'm saying yes, it's totally offensive. And BS, exactly. Now, the reason it's offensive is that being an expert doesn't just mean you know good answers. It means you know the best answer. The mark of a real expert is the ability to say, everyone seems to think X, but really it's Y. How do you know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to online courses? Because I'm not telling you the same thing everyone else about online courses is saying. I'm not saying, look how you're going to use this to create courses about small kitchens in record time. I'm telling you that is not the point. I can tell you everyone thinks X, but really it's Y. And I'm willing to bet you can do that in your area of expertise as well. But AI cannot do that. It doesn't have insight or a point of view because it doesn't understand anything. It doesn't understand any of the words that it is receiving from you or regurgitating back. ChatGPT is the epitome of reading 5 books on a topic and thinking you're an expert. But regurgitating the most statistically likely answer isn't the same as having the discernment and insight to give the best answer, especially given that there's no guarantee that the information the AI was trained on was right in the first place. So I'm going to give you a little exercise, and I want you to share in the chat, what is an area where you have legit expertise, enough for you to be able to say, everyone thinks X, but really it's Y. And if you can share what is that in a sentence or two, by all means do that. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Please think about this and share. All right, awesome. So I love what I'm seeing in the chat. And this is really important. Anyone who's thinking, I can't fill in the blanks on this question, I can't say about my space, everyone thinks X, but really it's Y. Honestly, you're probably not enough of an expert to be teaching about it, to stand out in a world of AI. But you can see from the chat that, look, the people who tend to gravitate towards my work, you are real experts in your fields, which is fantastic. So that's the first thing you need. You need legitimate expertise. And the second thing that you need is an actual learning journey. Because here's the thing that people sometimes forget. No matter how impressive the technology becomes, the learning does not happen in the technology. It happens in your students' brains. And we just don't learn things by reading text or watching video. That's not how our brains work. And there's only one kind of course that will see demand and perceived value increase in the days ahead. And that is the hybrid course, one that is smart about all of the tools in the course creator's toolbox to create the best outcomes for the student and for the business. Tools like cohorts and coaching and in-person experiences and community and gamification and micro-learning, and yes, AI as well. The trick is to use each of these tools in the way that best fits the situation to the degree that will create the best result. You want to have access to the sliders for all of these tools to ramp them up and down, to find the configuration that gets the best results for your students and for your business. And that's what really unlocks the possibility to multiply the value you're delivering, and by extension, the business results that you're seeing, while also scaling back the amount of effort it takes from you. It's not about passive income. That's a pipe dream. But it is about creating really powerful leverage so that you can create a lot of transformation and justify real premium prices without taking a huge amount of your effort or time. And this is especially the case if you use AI the right way across all the steps in the journey: ideation, market research, outreach, course development, marketing, and sales. The key is to use AI to support you in developing the only sort of course that will continue to see profitable demand in the market, the hybrid course. And if you've been following my work for a while, you might be thinking, Danny, I've heard you say this before, minus the AI stuff. And you would be right. You know, it's funny, but the big upshot of AI and the disruption that it is creating is that really everything has changed and nothing has changed. It's not new that hybrid is the way to go, but the disruption of AI massively turns up the pressure, and it puts a clock on it because now nothing else will work. And it makes it a lot easier too, because it is absolutely possible for AI to save you an enormous amount of time along the way. And I will show you exactly how to do that. But first, it is time for you to make a decision. Are you going to continue to explore this opportunity? Are you saying, yes, I am enough of a legit expert. Yes, I'm on board with hybrid as the way to go because it's the only way that will work. Put yes into the chat if you are on board. If you're like, yes, I want to do this. Or are you going to dip your toe in the proverbial water while your competitors ride the wave? I have an opinion about which is the right answer, but you're the only one who can decide. And that is why I promised you off-ramps. So here's the next one. For anyone who's like, I've heard enough, technology sounds cool, this is not for me right now, this is the time to hop off. You can sign off the call right now, no hard feelings. You do not need to join us back for the next 2 sessions. If you're not on board with using AI to create hybrid courses and stand out in this way, then, it's not going to be interesting to you. But if you are on board, as I see a lot of you are, there are 3 things that I'll invite you to do right now. First, mark your calendar for our Wednesday session, which is at 11 Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Eastern. And remember, we are not releasing the recording, so you've got to be there live. And you don't want to miss it because there is a lot of great stuff that we're going to cover. I'm going to show you how to engineer transformation, especially in an AI world. We will go over the 6 dimensions of course design and how AI fits into them. We will talk about prompt engineering, what exactly it is and how to use it to save tons of time with AI. And we'll talk about the role of coaching in online courses, especially in a world of AI, and a whole lot more. That's the first thing you want to do. Mark your calendar. Second thing that you can do is get the slides from this session today. We're not releasing the recordings, but you can get the slides. And the way to get the slides is by doing a little bit of homework. So I want you to write up your answer to the question, what are you a legitimate, everyone thinks X, but really it's Y, expert on? Send your answer to eni.danny@mirasee.com with the subject line AI Courses Day 1 Homework. And my team will, first of all, congratulate you on being such an expert and also send you the slides of today's presentation. That's the second thing. The third thing is just for people who know that they absolutely must seize this opportunity. It's not optional for them to get this right this year. You'll remember that I promised you an exclusive invitation. This is just for people who are ready to go all in to seize this opportunity. And that invitation is to apply to participate in a special run of our hybrid course accelerator, AI Edition. This is the cutting-edge version of our most effective course building program, upgraded with AI prompts that we're developing to make everything easier. The program consists of 3 full-length courses. The first is Hybrid Course Launch. And in Hybrid Course Launch, you will choose the right market, you'll select an irresistible course topic, you'll find your ideal premium students, you'll make it easy for them to say yes, you'll design a powerful course experience, you'll set up all of the course technology, fill your pilot with paying students, and all along the way, you're going to work with powerful prompts to get AI to do good chunks of the work for you. Then you move on to Hybrid Course Audience, which is where you set up lead magnets and pages to attract your target student. You develop a steady, consistent plan for content that plays to your strengths. You build authority and trust through automated nurture. You connect with major JV partners. You implement systems to get it all done consistently and efficiently. And again, powerful technology integrating AI to help you with a lot of the work. And then finally, we move on to Hybrid Course Scale, where you record professional grade videos, free your time with high leverage hybrid support structures, expand into the best for you marketing channels, whether that's ads or podcast guesting or something else. You'll create evergreen systems for consistent, sustainable growth. And once again, we're integrating AI technologies to help you do this as quickly and effectively as possible. And it's not just about the curriculum. It's also about an incredible level of support. There are 7 months of bi-weekly, meaning every other week, support from your one-on-one course building and marketing coach. And you get concierge tech setup and copywriting through 150 credits with our Mist Digital Agency. So we will literally set up the things for you that the AI can't. And it's that combination of curriculum, coaching, and implementation that allows us to guarantee results. More on that in a minute. Now, if you look at all the components of this program, we've got Hybrid Course Launch, Hybrid Course Audience, Hybrid Course Scale. These are all $2,000 full-length courses. There are 7 months of coaching, the 150 Mist Digital credits. All of that, you just add it up, that's $14,000. That's not even mentioning the cutting-edge AI prompt upgrades. But because of how time-sensitive this opportunity is, we're reducing the price right now so that if you were to join the program, you would only make 12 payments of $595. And you can save even more if you choose to pay in full. Now, I mentioned that we guarantee results. And if you've been following my work for any length of time, you know how seriously I take guarantees because they keep you honest about creating something really valuable. And here's what I know about my students. They want to see a return on their investment, and they know that they're not going to lose money on their work with me. That is why, if you put in the time, you do the work, and you reach out to us so we can help you along the way, we guarantee that at the very least, you will earn back your full investment in the program. And if you don't, I will pay you the difference out of my pocket. Now, we don't accept just anyone into this program. I only want people who are serious and who I'm confident that we can help. That is why you cannot buy a spot in this program, but you can apply for one. The way to do that is with a $500 fully refundable deposit. Then you'll get on a call with someone on my team, and if you and they both agree that you're a good fit for the program, your spot will be secured. And if not, we'll refund the deposit. No harm, no foul. And space is limited. We will accept people into the program on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you think you might want to jump in on this very timely opportunity, you can review the details and put down your deposit at mrse.co/HCA. Now, we're almost done, and I've saved some time for Q&A, but first, let's talk about your next action steps. First, if you think you might want to join the Hybrid Course Accelerator, go to mrse.co/HCA and put down the deposit. Second, make sure your calendar is marked for our Wednesday session at 11 a.m. Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, about premium course design with ChatGPT and the hybrid design canvas. Remember, there is no recording that will be released. And third, make sure you get the slides. Submit your homework. It's an easy question to answer, unless if it's a hard question to answer, then you shouldn't be building courses anyway. But it's an easy question to answer for the right people. What are you a legitimate, everyone thinks expert, really it's why expert on? Send that to ini.danny@mirasee.com. Subject line, AI courses, day 1 homework. Okay. With that, we have time for Q&A. Now, there are a lot of people here. There are a lot of questions in the chat, so we will do our best to get to as many as possible. But put them in with the big word question in capital letters at the front, and we will do our best to answer. Molly, what would people like to know?
Well, so far, Cassandra and I think, handled most of the questions in chat. I'm sure we missed some. So guys, like Danny said, please drop them there if you have them. Some people are having some questions about like, how do you differentiate? So if everybody's getting the same answers, how do you use this and make it unique to you?
So you can use a technology to save yourself a lot of time on things you already know how to do. And part of that is by just being able to evaluate right answers from wrong answers when it gives it to you. And a big part of that is in asking the questions in a sophisticated way that will get you good answers. That's what prompt engineering is about. The more precisely you ask the question, the more useful the answer is going to be. We're going to spend a bunch of time talking about prompt engineering on the next session.
Awesome. Make sure you guys don't miss that one. Danny, do you know how ChatGPT compares to Jarvis? I asked ChatGPT and it didn't really give me a clear answer.
Yeah, sure. So I'm trying to think how to explain this. Okay. So there are going to be a bunch of GPT, meaning generative, pre-trained, et cetera, models. But you can only build a model like that if you can feed a ton of training data into it, which means it's a big undertaking. There's a reason they had $1 billion in funding. So they're going to have one. That's the one from OpenAI. There are going to be similar large language models, probably from Google, from Facebook. Like all the big companies are going to have them. They're going to be proprietary. Small companies do not have the resources to create a large language model. What they're doing is plugging into an existing one. So GPT that comes from OpenAI, you can use it through ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT as the interface, or you can use their API to connect it to whatever technology you're building. So Jarvis, which is a tool for copywriting, is using the OpenAI GPT model and essentially putting a layer of their own prompts on top of it. So it's a technology that basically asks sophisticated questions to get better answers from the GPT model.
Excellent answer. That was way better than the answer it gave me. So people are asking, can you put text into ChatGPT, a video, something like that, so that it can get your tone?
You cannot put a video. You can only put text. You can copy paste text up to, a reasonable length and put it in there. You could also point it to a resource online. You could point it to a web page and say, read this page and, write me an answer in this style or synthesizing these ideas or that sort of thing.
Thank you. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. Debbie has a question, which I think is a good question. Is it possible to take my existing text, she says course sales text, but any type of copy, and put it into ChatGPT to make it better from a marketing perspective? Is that something that's worthwhile, Danny?
With the right prompts, maybe. But the right prompt is really important to clarify, right? Because if you say, make this better, how are you better according to what? Better according to how? And also, even more importantly, will you be able to assess whether it is better, right? The thing is that the downside, the risk is very low, right? What have you got to lose? You give it a link, you say, write me, in air quotes, better, or use whatever better instructions you can give it. About what you want. Make this more compelling, make this tighter, make this more convincing, whatever it is that you want to do, and then read the answer. And if you feel like it is materially better, that's great. But be very skeptical of, if you paid a human $1,000 to do the work, would you feel equipped to evaluate their work?
Very, very insightful. So if somebody is interested in HCA, Danny, and they purchase HCA, do they have to purchase anything else to go along with that? Do they need like an upgraded version of ChatGPT or any other supplementary things that would have an overhead for them?
No, you don't need anything else. I mean, you're going to need a course platform at some point. You're going to need an email marketing system, like the usual stuff that's involved in building an online course business. None of that in aggregate will add up to more than, $100 a month, if that. You do not need a paid version of ChatGPT, so you don't need ChatGPT Plus, although it will be possibly more convenient if you have it, but shouldn't make a big difference.
And what kind of access do people get if they purchase HCA, Danny? Is it lifetime access? Is it just on the 7 months of the course? How does that work?
It's lifetime access to the training and content, and 7 months of access to the coaching.
Awesome. Sean has a question. You mentioned that you can send ChatGPT to a particular website, but I thought that ChatGPT didn't have access to look up stuff live on the internet. So can you talk about that a little more?
Yeah, sure. So it's not that ChatGPT doesn't have access to the internet. It's that ChatGPT is not trained on the internet. So ChatGPT has not read the internet in its current form. You could say, hey, go to this page, go to this link, give it a URL and say, read this. It will do it. It can do that. But it doesn't by default know what's on the internet.
And then Francis is currently in HCA and wanted to know if they would have access to some of this Chat GTP extra stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to be developing the library of prompts with this cohort, and once it's ready, we're going to share it with the rest of our student body.
Awesome. There's a couple questions from folks who are in HCU. Email us, talk to your coach, and we can talk about those situations for those who have asked that. So far, Danny, that looks like that catches us up on questions.
Great, awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of questions around, as an existing Mirasee student, do I get access to this or that? So you're not going to get access. The best answer is ask your coach, because there are different programs and I don't want to go through them kind of like, as a catalog. If you're already an HCA or ACES, then you will get access to these prompts once the library is built. If you're in HCU, you'll also, or Teach Your Gift Pro, you'll get the access to the prompt library once it's built, but not the training or coaching or anything like that.
Thank you for clarifying that. And we talked about this at the town hall, but what about copyright and privacy, Danny, when it comes to ChatGPT?
I'm not a lawyer. I cannot provide legal advice. I can tell you there is a lot of stuff going on in the media right now with just about every company under the sun suing ChatGPT and its related companies for what they're alleging to be copyright infringement. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't make those judgments. But yeah, you'll notice that when we did the small kitchen course, it didn't tell you where it got its sources. It didn't tell you if it was drawing inspiration from or paraphrasing or literally copy pasting. So I would be very careful just taking something that ChatGPT gave me and posting it online and calling it my own.
Agreed. If two people ask a question the exact same way, do you know will it give it the exact same answer?
Probably not, because it's a generative model. You'll get the gist of the answers will probably be similar, but the exact wording will probably not be. But there's no guarantee, and that's a fairly easy thing to test.
Another question just came through. Danny, do you think AI has any value if your course material is based on completely innovative material?
Yes, I do. It won't have value in creating the course material for you, but there's still a lot of places where it can save you work. And we're going to look at examples of where that can fit in, both on Wednesday and on Friday. And of course, in great detail inside of the accelerator.
And do you know the difference between the free version and the paid version?
The paid version is faster and also kind of reliably available. So if they're facing like resource constraints and some people can't get in, the paid people will always be able to get in, is my understanding. You may also, as a paid user, get access to newer language models sooner. I don't know.
I think one of the big things right now is that always available, where for the free version, a lot of times you will find that it is not always available. There is some questions. There is not a replay. There is an encore presentation. You will be getting emails about those folks. And it is going quickly. Can you talk real quick? Rania has a question just about what does it mean as the generative model? Like, what does that mean? I know you had explained that at the top of the hour.
So I'll explain again, recognizing that I'm not a data scientist. I'm not an AI expert. But essentially what it's doing is it's looking at all of the information, all the data it was trained on, and then saying, statistically speaking, for your question, what is the most likely next word? Now, there's a lot of fuzziness to that. And so it's not always going to be exactly the same each time.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. Michael has a question. He says, Chat GPT seems like a dream come true for those who aren't super creative. For those who are highly creative, though, I feel like it's a tension of forking over that ideation process to AI for the sake of time saving. Excuse me. Do you have thoughts on that trade-off?
And I think that's pretty accurate, and it's a decision for you to make. Where do you want to maintain the creative control, and where does it not matter? Right? Where is it not important? It's better to save the time so you can apply your creativity in more constructive places.
Thank you for that, Danny. Barbara has a question. So most people who are receiving marketing info will not know if it's coming from the chat or if it's created. That's right, if they're doing it correctly, we'll say.
I don't quite understand the question. Could you say it again?
So do you believe that as this becomes more readily used, that will people be able to differentiate between like human created content and AI generated content?
That's a really good question. And there are a few parts to that. So first of all, yes, you can learn to kind of notice it. There are algorithms that are of course being written to recognize it. And, it's always going to be an arms race. Humans can spot it with some degree of reliability, especially once they know what they're looking for, like they kind of recognize the patterns. Over time, it will become harder to do that discernment because the models will get better. But that's not a good thing. That's actually a bad thing, right? Because it just means really that it's going to get harder and harder to tell when the wool is being pulled over your eyes. I'm talking about you as a creator, right? When ChatGPT gives you an answer that is obviously bad, it's notoriously bad at math, for example. So an obvious, because it's looking at like statistical approximations. So if it gives you an obviously wrong answer in math, that's okay. You just know not to use it. It's when the answer looks compelling but is still wrong that it's really dangerous, right? It's going to become more believable, more compelling, but not more right.
Not more right. Danny, do you think as this technology progresses that it will impact search engines like Google and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's already impacting in a big way. Bing just paid $10 billion for it to power a new AI version of Bing Search, which some people have access to in beta. And that's going to take market share away from Google. Google is going to release its own AI language model similarly. Yeah, this is a huge part of the landscape. And then more narrowly looking at search engine optimization, you can bet there's always an arms race going on between people who are looking to game the system and people who are working at Google looking to beef up the algorithms to recognize and penalize the people who are gaming the system.
Thank you for that, Danny. So Andrew is asking, is there a website to check the copyright of the text that ChatGTP creates? If not, how can we protect ourselves from getting into copyright issues?
Again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't advise you on that. I'm sure there will be services like that. But I don't have a good answer for you on that. You've got to be very careful about what you take and publish. Which is again why it's useful as a first draft tool, not as a take it, copy, paste, and publish.
And I asked ChatGTP this earlier about copyright, and its response was that your prompts are yours. Like, you own your prompts, you own your input, you do not own the output. That is publicly available information, is what it told me. But take that for what it is. It is taking words from other people, but it does say that you have that your prompts are yours to create. Danny Sterling asks, will this impact education, do you think, as students could use the AI to do their homework, write their papers, dissertations, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. And some schools are already making rules to ban it, which is, it harkens back to schools being like, no, you can't use calculators. There's going to be an interesting evolution of education catching up to what the landscape looks like, changing how they do assessment and testing of certain skills. But that's a big conversation. We're still very early in that evolution.
Michael has another question. To what extent do you believe that ChatGPT and these changes will produce a downward pressure on prices of hybrid courses, even those that are constructed well and perceived as expert delivered?
It's a really good question. And the answer is, I think if anything, it's going to end up creating an upward pressure because the market is going to further bifurcate into two groups. So there's the courses that are not hybrid, that are information only. This is what ChatGPT can produce. And the value of those courses is going to drop basically to zero. We've been seeing a lot of downward pressure on that already. It's going to go all the way down. But after people have scoured the information only stuff, they're like, I still need help learning this. That's when they're ready to shell out more significant amounts of money to get a real outcome, commensurate with the value to them. And that's not going to change. So I don't see a downward pressure on hybrid courses, just as long as it's clear what the hybrid elements are, so you know what you're getting. It's going to be much more important to clarify that, to talk about the coaching, to talk about the whole experience, etc.
Awesome. I think I'm caught up on questions.
Awesome. It's always good to wrap up a few minutes before the promised end time, so people have time to do whatever they need to do to be fully focused on whatever their next commitment is. Here's the thing. We have 2 more full sessions. I've got a lot more that I'm going to share with you on Wednesday and on Friday. And obviously, there's only so much that we can cover, even in 3 days. That's why the Hybrid Course Accelerator AI edition is 7 full months of training, coaching, etc. So for anyone who's thinking seriously, I'm doing this, go to mrsc.co/HCA, put down your deposit, schedule that call. It is first come, first served. There are a lot of people on this call. There is a good chance that we're going to fill up all the spots before we close the link at the end of the week. But make sure you do that. And make sure your calendar is marked for Wednesday. Make sure you submit your homework. And I will see you all back here in 2 days. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right. Thank you all very much. To be continued.
Thank you, Danny. Real quick, the encore presentation, guys, I'm seeing some questions on that. 11 a.m. the day after the event, just so you know. You will get emails in your inbox about that, so keep your eyes out. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow for the encore. Bye-bye.